Hello everybody and welcome to Wild Ginger Running, the live broadcast. Tonight is all about Bridgedale's new range of trail running socks. So I'm delighted to be here with Stephen Connor, who is the new product development and senior technician. We'll find out what that is in just a moment. And Mark Brennan, of course, who is the MD of Bridgedale itself. So welcome Stephen, welcome Mark. How are you doing tonight? Have you been out in the sun today? It's been a lovely day.
I wish I had been, but so far not. I'll be going out after this.
Awesome.
I've been tied up in the screen today, most of the day, unfortunately.
Oh, that sucks. Well, we won't keep you too long then. And Stephen, how's your day been?
Not too bad at all, but I've been mainly in the factory most of the day, so going home. I'm still here at the moment, so going home straight after this.
Nice. And where are both of you based? Is there a big office for Bridgedale, or are you all remotely?
Bridgedale is a factory in Newton Ards in Northern Ireland, so I'm based there. Mark is based over in England, and obviously due to COVID he's not able to travel at the moment.
So I'm based in Northamptonshire and basically travel from here back and forth to the factory, but as Stephen said, I haven't been since August.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. We've all been on Zoom a lot lately, haven't we?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So today we're going to talk about the new trail running range for Bridgedale, but just before we get onto that, I just thought I'd let everybody know what your job roles are. So could you just briefly explain, Stephen, what the new product development and senior technician does, and then we'll ask you, Mark, after that.
Okay.
Absolutely, okay. I'm in charge of all new product development for Bridgedale, which means all new concepts, whether it's a picture or an idea, I am in charge of actually getting that into making it into a sock. And senior technician, could have been with the firm for 28 years. Started off as a mechanic and then moved into product development after about 3 or 4 years. So I've been product development for 24, 25 years now.
Mm-hmm. So Mark will come to you with like, Stephen, we need to make trail running socks, and you go, okay, Mark, I can do that.
Absolutely, that's exactly how it works. Yes,
that's simple. Okay.
Stephen converts all of the drawing and puts the magic into the ideas.
He's the person with the wand.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Fantastic. So apart from just telling Stephen what to do, Mark, what's your role about?
My role is overall responsibility for the entire business, making sure that fundamentally we're profitable and we can have a long-term future. Our focus is very much on building the brand, protecting the brand, and developing new products based on consumer feedback.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where we're now.
And I know all about that consumer feedback because I've been working with you guys on the new trail running range of socks, which we were doing last year just before COVID hit, thank goodness. But so why did Bridgedale decide to start trail running socks? I know I've worn your socks for years for walking. You're well known in the walking market. But yeah, why did you turn to trail running?
We turned to trail running because, as you quite rightly say, we're the market leader in the hiking market. We're very well known in the hiking market. Without being complacent, we produce some of the best socks in the hiking market. So all the feedback from our consumers tell us that. We're looking to grow the business. So we decided to go and find out where there was an area where maybe there wasn't a particularly strong brand, and rather than in the past where we've sat around, or prior to me arriving, there was a period where the technical people and the salespeople sat around the table in the factory and said, I know what we'll do, we'll make trail running socks. And they went out and bought a load of trail running socks, we read a load of magazines and then made some trail running socks. We decided to go right back to basics and go and talk to some trail runners and find out what it was that they actually wanted and what it was that is currently in the market is not delivering what they want.
Brilliant.
And from that, the very first meetings we had, what really struck us was when we sat with all the trail runners, they were very brand loyal when it came to shoes. They knew exactly what shoes they were wearing individually. They were brand loyal to clothing in the main part, but not one of them was sitting there saying, these socks I'm wearing are fantastic. Everybody was saying, my socks wear out too quickly, they're not great, some of these guys who we were talking to in the lakes were wearing the socks out in 6 and 8 weeks.
Wow.
So it gave us an opportunity to say, okay, let's see if we can take what we do with our hike sock and the technology that we understand and provide it to a trail runner. But rather, as I say, just to reiterate, rather than us saying, right, we know what we're doing, we then went backwards and forwards to the trail runners, asking them what they wanted and what was wrong with the socks they currently had. And then with that information, Stephen was involved. Stephen went back to the factory and tried to make a sock which answered those concerns from trail runners.
Yes.
And we went backwards and forwards until we perfected it.
Yeah, well, it seems like you have already got a load of fans. I know I was already wearing your multi-sport sock, the Trail Speed Diva, so I was already wearing Bridgedale socks for trail running, and I didn't really realise that I wasn't supposed to be because you hadn't made trail running socks yet. But I just want to read out, like, there's a lot of people watching live, so I just want to read out a couple of comments, and you've got a few fans already, and then we'll go on to how big of the project was once you got going. So Chris Williams said, that's a bit spooky. I just had delivered my first 3 pairs of running socks today, and all my socks are Bridgedales, so that's fantastic. John Gardner just says hi. He's over in the States. Brad Rush is in Canada. He says hi as well. Adrian Orange says hi everyone. This should be interesting because I'm in need of new socks. So here we go, guys. The pitch starts now. And Antonia Cardinelli says hello Claire and everyone. Michael Mack has asked a question already. He wants to know if COVID had any impact on the shipping of the socks and things like that, so we'll get to that later. And Rich says hello, Bridgedales are my go-to socks. So he's out trekking in the Brecon Beacons in Bridgedale socks right now. Fantastic.
Good to know.
And you've got a couple of fans as well from my patrons, who are the guys who get priority with asking their questions. So Tim Piggott is thrilled because the thumbnail of this video is his leg in a Bridgedale sock. He said, brilliant socks. I went out and bought a dozen when they came onto the market. So that's good news there. And Rob is a fan. He says, I'm still running in those socks. They last forever. He was part of our testing team as well. So yeah, we'll come on to the first question then, now that we know there's a lot of love already for the Bridgedale socks. John Moisey said, I still use the test socks because we did a bit of a test within the Wild Ginger Running patrons, and some of them got some really early prototypes to use. He says they're still going strong, and he wants to ask how big a project is it to design a new sock, because he's talking about the fact that it's generally one of your cheapest pieces of kit, but it's actually one of the most important pieces of kit, isn't it? Because if you haven't got good feet, then you're not going to run anywhere. So yeah, how big a project is this for you guys?
I think John's just identified the problem for us as a sock manufacturer, is that most people are very excited about going and buying their shoes and their waterproofs and their expensive items, and
the running pack, head torch, the watch.
Yeah, they do a lot of, and obviously this isn't particularly directed at the people who are on this call now because they obviously know better, but a lot of people will go out and they'll spend serious money on all of those items, and then they'll just go home and get a pair of socks out of the drawer. They'll go running or walking and they'll be surprised they've got a blister, and they don't actually think through the concept of the sock and the shoe are working together with the foot, and that's very much what we base all of our research on. And in terms of how big was this project, we started this project back in August 2018 when we all sat down and we had a presentation from a colleague who's since left us about what the market was, who was in it, how we might approach it. And so we have only just delivered, in February, beginning of February, we delivered socks to our customers. So that's how long it took us. And we had a team of runners in the Lake District who we were working with, testers. We had your team as well, and we had some people in the Peak District, and we were backwards and forwards over the 18-month period, nearly 2 years, backwards and forwards to improve the socks. And as I say, the first conversation was, and they literally did. We asked the guys in the lakes and the girls in the lakes to bring their socks to the table, and they literally brought their socks that they had in a drawer and said, okay, these are the brands I'm wearing, these are the ones that are okay, this is what's good about this one, this is what's good about this one, these are all the things that are lacking. And Stephen went back to the factory and started to make socks, and we made a whole load of socks, and then we sent them out to everyone and said, go run in them for a month. And then we went back again, and we went backwards and forwards. And so it's time consuming. It's more so than necessarily high intensity in terms of money being invested. It's time. It's time, actually taking the time to sit down and talk to people and really understand. Because nobody in Bridgedale is a trail runner. So how could we possibly know what a trail runner wanted? So we were trying to get under the skin of these people, not as much about why they went running, where they went running, how far they went running, what sort of things did they do, what sort of shoes did they wear, so that we could get a much deeper understanding of what the socks should look like and what they needed to perform.
Yeah, I was really impressed by that process actually, and I know how long it took because we were a part of it together, and it was really great to get some of the patrons involved. But we did a really good photo shoot where I was really impressed by the way that you got feedback from real runners, like not elite athletes who are they're completely different really. When when a brand says, oh, we've worked with this elite athlete to create this product, I'm always a bit like, oh, but that's not the majority of people. So I really liked how you worked with real runners. And I'm just going to show a few pictures of behind the scenes at the photo shoot now. So there's Ed taking a photo there of everybody in their shoes and socks on a log, and there's a doing up laces picture here. There's everybody put their socks into a circle just here, so you can see there's lots of bright colours going on. We were running in a real mountainous location, so we were on Loughrig Fell just above Ambleside there, and you can see the snow in the hills in the background there, and that's quite important because we were trying to do some summery shots as well, so the poor runners had to keep stripping off, and then we'd warm them back up with a down jacket and a tent as well. So there's just we warmed them up by making them run about a lot as well. There's a shot of Tim leaping across there, and then we all got, this is quite a funny picture. Do you remember, Mark, when we all got in the tent?
Yes.
This was pre-COVID. Everybody got hungry, and we'd got all this bread and cheese and sandwiches and whatnot, and they did a production line in this tent. This is a 2-person tent, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people in this tent, and me at the front of it as well. And then everyone had a fun time, as you can see by everyone's smiles. Definitely pre-COVID, because everybody's cramped together like sardines in this tent. And then there's a nice picture of Mark. He didn't fit in the tent, so this is a picture of you, Mark, from inside the tent, looking very, very cold, with a big down jacket on and hiking boots and everything. So yeah, that was just a little bit of behind the scenes there to show that we really did get out and test these socks, didn't we? People were out using them in anger and really feeding back to you guys on what the socks should be like.
I think also there, Claire, you've touched on an important point. For Bridgedale, we want to be aspirational for, and this is not to be rude to anyone, to ordinary people. We want to encourage people to go out, and we want, as you say, if we went out and paid an athlete. So my mind, sometimes these companies that they're backing athletes, and people look at that situation and say, I'm never going to be that good. I'm never going to be that good. Or actually, for me, even worse, they must be paying them to tell us the socks.
Yeah.
And the key thing for us, and the important thing for us was to get the negative feedback. To be told the socks weren't good was what we wanted to hear, so that we could make them better. Not to be told we were making great socks.
Yeah, but unfortunately, everybody said they were great.
Well, eventually, yes, but that took us 18 months to get there. To keep going back through each reiteration and improving on them.
Yep. Yes. And yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? How. Oh yeah. The next thing I wanted to ask was, from all that research that you did, what did you discover that people wanted in a sock? Was there a certain thing that just kept coming up over and over again?
Stephen?
To be honest, it was durability and comfort. Now, we've always found at Bridgedale with comfort, when a sock's comfortable, you don't notice.
Mm-hmm.
You just get on with doing whatever you're doing, whatever activity it is, whether it's running or whether it's on the hill. If a sock's uncomfortable or bunching up or giving you a blister, that's when you notice. So to be honest, we wanted people to tell us, yes, we didn't like this function, we didn't like that, but once it's comfortable, you just don't notice and you get on with it.
Yeah, I think what I really liked about Bridgedale socks from the get-go, because I've always worn them in hiking and then in my running with the multi-sport socks, I really like the way that, I'm wearing one right now, why don't I just show everybody? I really like, sorry everybody, a bit of a manky sock, I love the way that they really cup the foot, like that they really feel really snug around the arch, and they just hug that arch area, I find. So I just think they're super duper in the way that they are elasticated and stretch and kind of compress your foot in all the right places. They also dry really quickly, which is really important in a trail running sock, especially going for all those puddles. And I find them really durable as well. Like, I've got loads in my drawer and I just wear them over and over and over again. So actually they wear out quicker than my other socks, but that's only because I only wear Bridgedale socks. So it's not really a fair test. I don't wear the other ones. So yeah, they're really comfortable.
But also, just to expand on the answer to your question, there were several things we found from talking to trail runners that we built into these socks that we would never ever have found if we hadn't spoken to them. Mm-hmm. So the trail running socks have 4 particular features which are very specific to them versus all the other socks that we make. So we have a sport fit. So to come back to what you're talking about in terms of the way it works, I'll let Stephen describe what these features are in a minute and how we do it. But we've got a sport fit. We've also got a natural toe spread. So we made the toe box slightly wider than we make in our other socks, because again, trail runners want their socks to be able to be spread out when they're running. They don't want them to be tied too tight. So we made the toe box of the sock slightly wider. We also we made the cuff slightly tighter at the top, because again, we call that the zero debris cuff. And the idea of that is to stop the debris going down your sock and into your foot and causing blisters. So it's slightly tighter because trail runners are running through bracken and they're moving quickly. And we also reinforce the toe, the toe seam at the front, because obviously, as against walkers, you're running downhill, you're not walking downhill, you're running downhill, so you're putting a lot more pressure on the toe box than you would on a walking sock. So they were 4 things that you would not have thought about or come to without spending all this time talking to the people.
That's really interesting. I'd never really thought about that before. I didn't really realise that that's like a kind of a NASA level of effort that's gone into making the perfect sock for trail running.
Stephen, just explain how we do the sports fit. Yeah, and what
the sports fit. Well, we've used a very fine base yarn on it in the sock with a lycra to keep it nice and springy and compressive. On the trail run style, we've also put elastic the way through the sock from the very top right down until the end of the arch elastic, which on most of our other Bridgedale socks we have elastication where the arch support is and where your ankle support is, and at the top of the sock. On these, just to make them that bit grippier, we kept the elastic in the full way through. And the zero debris cuff, we made the cuff slightly deeper than we normally would, and we started the elastic earlier, so we're running elastication from the inside right out and then down the rest of the sock. And obviously we've made the elastic at the top a bit tighter, not tight enough that it'll leave lines on your foot or it'll be uncomfortable, but we'll just tighten it slightly to give a better grip.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And so do you do like merino and coolmax, I think are the 2 types of sock that you've gone for in the trail running range?
Yes, we do merino. In the ultralights we do merino, which is for the UK sort of summer, and then we do coolmax for warmer climates like Greece or Turkey or Spain. For the UK we also do the lightweight sock. The lightweight sock also has polypropylene in it, which will keep you warmer in the winter. It's more for winter weight use. It'll keep you warmer, but it also helps with the moisture away. So again, it's all about, we were told by the trail runners, within the first 10 minutes, your socks are going to be soaking and they're going to be covered in mud. So they basically wanted something that would dry quickly and also keep their feet warm in the winter.
Yeah. And is polypropylene, has that got kind of antimicrobial properties? Like, because I've noticed that I can wear these socks for days and they don't smell bad, and that's, I can run in them, and until they just stand up on their own, and I can still run in them, and they don't smell too bad.
It's not really the polypropylene. We've been working in conjunction with the Lycra company, making a new Lycra dry technology. They claim it's yarns they've already been previously using, but it's a new yarn for us, and it's in Lycra. So because it's in the base yarn, it means the sock will naturally work more moisture away in the base of the sock, which we've never used before at Bridgedale. We use socks that do work moisture away, basically polyesters and Comaxes, but they're usually the main yarn. For all the trail run range, this is part of the base of the sock, and then all the other yarns are sort of woven on top of that, or knit on top of that. So it's the Lycra dry means the technology of the yarn means from your toe right through the rest of your sock, every single course in that sock is uses this Lycra dry technology and helps to wick the moisture away. The Coolmax socks will wick it away even quicker because obviously Coolmax wicks moisture as well, being a hydrophobic yarn. So I say the Coolmax is more for warmer climates. So we have 3 different types of socks. The sort of winter weight UK, summer weight UK, which are both merino, and then the Coolmax one for warmer climates.
Fantastic. Yeah, so there's something for everyone and for every season, for every type of run, and I'm just wondering what the factory is like. I mean, I've got this image of, like, my grandma has a knitting machine and it was quite big and it sort of went like like what does it look like when the sock is made? Like, is it like on a tube or something? What's
the sock is made on a cylindrical knitting machine. So it means the machines, it's a circle of 156 or 112 needles, depending on which sock we're making.
156 needles?
Yes.
Wow, so I think that's more than my grandma could wield.
Yeah. So from start to finish, we start knitting the sock. It knits from the top down, and by the time it finishes, there's a mechanical arm comes across, picks the sock out of the machine, and then stitches the toe on it. And then it drops out as a complete sock. Then we can take it to the next process. But the machines themselves, like 3 foot square and about 6 foot tall.
Oh, okay. And so
quite a bit. We have one of them in the factory.
So are there lots of machines making socks all the time?
There's lines of machines.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And so are there people working on each one, like feeding it with yarn, and it's going yum 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 yum? I'm going to make a sock. Yum, 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 yum.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay. Oh, it'd be so cool to, like, do a tour at some point. I've never seen socks actually be made. Like, you just don't think of that, do you? Like, how on earth are they actually made? Yeah, my nanny used to knit with 3 needles, like that, yes. Like crisscross. She used to knit my granddad's socks for him, and they were on 3 needles.
Exact same process, except it's a circular knitting machine. Instead of actual needles where you're casting off and knitting, it's a circular knitting process. So it means it's a continuous process, so you just keep feeding yarns on at different points of the sock, depending on what part of you want to knit.
Some of our socks will have up to 15 or 16 yarns in each sock, different yarn.
Wow. It's come on a bit since...
different places,
Yeah. Brilliant. Just, to get the comfort and the quick drying and then the support and then the elasticity. Wow, there's a lot goes into it, isn't it? It's everyone thinks, the humble sock, but it is actually a really important piece of travel running kit.
There's a lot more goes into it most people think. Most people who visit the factory are quite impressed by how much yarns went into the socks and how many different processes are out throughout the factory.
Yeah, and we've just got a question about the stitching. Adrian says, stitching the sock at the bottom, does it leave a seam or anything? Because that can be problematic for running. I'm just going to I don't think I've got a seam. I'm just going to take mine off and have a look whilst you explain that.
The stitching, once the sock finishes knitting, it folds the toe in half and stitches across the top of the sock. It actually stitches on the outside, so if there is a seam at all, it'll be on the outside, but generally it's totally flat seam because of the machines we're using.
You shouldn't be able to feel any seam on the inside, Claire.
Yeah.
I can't. You used to be able to on socks, don't you? And any fashion socks that you get, you can see the seam. But I'm just holding mine up now for demonstration purposes. That's the inside of the sock. So there's lots of loops here, and somebody has asked a question about all these loops and the insulation, which we'll get to a little bit later. But yeah, I can't see. I see, like, on socks there used to be a bobble there, didn't there, each side? Yeah. But there is no bobble. Just it's just nothingness.
The seams on the outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, the seams are the dark purple line just under the Bridgedale.
That's the seam on the outside. Yeah, that answers your question, Adrian. And Chris Williams has just added, I always used Thorlow socks for work and hiking, but picked up some Bridgedales and never looked back. And that was about 15 years ago. Can't recommend them highly enough. There you go. I think we don't need to do this broadcast, do we? Everybody's already a fan. Fab. Okay, so next question is still about the factory and the process. I was just wondering, because lately I've obviously been very scared by David Attenborough's gloomy prospects for the planet. I was just wondering how eco-friendly the process of making a sock is or can be, and what your hopes are for the eco-friendliness of Bridgedale.
For me, Mark, yeah.
Okay, I'll pick that one up. So, as a business, historically, we have all done lots of what I now perceive to be eco-friendly things, even before they became fashionable. So we changed our process of washing and drying. So we now use steam rather than water. So we saved a huge amount of water. We're doing all the simple things like the LED lights. We're very conscious of not being caught in the trap that people get caught in and get accused of greenwashing. So we're not overselling that concept, but we are trying hard to do all of the right things. I think one of our strongest arguments is that when you buy our socks, we seriously have people writing and tell us that their socks are 15 years old, they're 10 years old, or 12 years old. So actually, the longevity of our socks means that if you're buying Bridgedales, you're buying less pairs of socks, you're using less, if you were buying socks every year or every 2 or 3 years, you'd be using a lot more energy. So it's a difficult argument to show numbers for, but fundamentally our socks last a long time. So we're not in fast fashion, and the longevity is absolutely an environmental argument.
Yeah, it definitely is. The most environmentally friendly piece of clothing is the one that you already own, isn't it? That's what they say.
Absolutely. And the other thing we are doing, and we have done over the last sort of 3 or 4 years, we are moving to recycled yarns.
Oh, that's great. That's exciting. Yeah. So what, made from plastic bottles and bits of plastic in the ocean and things like that?
Yeah. And then obviously we're using wool. We use a lot of wool. And then the man-made fibres are now increasingly, we're able to buy recycled, and that's what we're doing.
Oh, fab. And what about the dyeing process? Because there's things like Blue Sign, isn't there, that people can sign up to, which shows that people are using kind of friendly dyeing processes, and the colours in things aren't kind of leaching out into the streams and turning all the fish blue, pink.
Well, again, we're in the process at the moment of contacting, in fact we're right in the middle of it, of talking to all of our dye houses, and we are chasing as hard as we can vegan friendly dyes as well.
Oh, that's exciting. Oh, why would a dye not be eco-friendly? I know they make red from cochineal beetles from Peru, but why would a dye not be vegan?
Because they use animals,
beetles. Okay.
Beetles and things to do the dye.
And kittens and fluffy puppies. They're all used.
I don't think it goes quite that far.
No, I jest. Oh, that's fantastic. It's really good to know that Bridgedale is committed in that way to just making this beautiful world that we run in, to preserve it as much as possible, because we all want to do that, don't we? But just going back to the design that Stephen was talking about, we had a question from Rich Simpson about the hoops, the insulating hoops, which I shouldn't put this sock back on, should I? I need to keep hoiking it out. Right, so the hoops, inside the sock there's like various loops, aren't there? So
Yeah, the terry loops, yeah.
like little loops. Can people see that? Yeah, so there's all these loops. So Rich says for an April Fool this year, he got all his instructors to count the hoops in a 1 centimetre square of a sock to make sure that there was enough insulation for the cold weather. And he told them that they would get new socks if the hoopage was low. But I think it was a April Fool that he did. He can't remember the results, but he wants to know if there's actual truth in that. Like, do your more insulated socks, do they have bigger hoops or just more hoops or thicker hoops? Or how do you make a sock more warm?
Generally, it's the amount of yarn we put into it. Most of our thicker socks are on our thicker machines, which have 112 needles. So obviously, if it's 112 needles, you can only get 112 terry loops per course, per every single course of the sock. But what we do, we would maybe put in 3 or 4 yarns into that. So each yarn is forming a terry loop. So if we add 3 or 4 ends of yarns in, that means instead of getting 112 terry loops, you're suddenly getting 3 or 4 times that amount, depending where we're putting the sock to beef it up and make it more warm or durable. So yes, we can change the amount of terry loops just purely by adding more yarns into it. On the trail run socks, we use a T-tooth technology. So the yarn that's on the outside to make it more durable, it actually shrinks less. So there's 2 terry loops for every loop you see. The other one's actually inside a lower height loop. So because of that, it gives more spring to the sock as well.
Oh wow, there's so much that goes into it, isn't it? It's like I need to view my sock under a microscope to really check out all the amazing features. No wonder, like, you see the back of sock packaging sometimes, and they point to this, that, and the other. It's like there's more technology that's gone into that than a GPS watch.
The easiest way to look at the technology is to turn the sock inside out. And if you turn the sock inside out, you'll see all the things that Stephen's talking about. You'll be able to see the lycra where it's designed to hold the sock in place. You'll be able to see all the loops. You'll be able to see and feel the different yarns that are in the sock and where they're on the sock.
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? And I just think it's really interesting that you've also managed to make a pattern on the socks. So socks used to be, you can see there very clearly, like the different parts of the sock and how the different yarns work together to make that comfy, supportive features. But it's really nice that you've kind of put like this little like flower pattern on the sock, which I just think is darling, isn't it? It's great. I love it, because before socks just used to be a bit boring, but they're really colourful now, and very exciting.
Thank you.
And Rich also has a cheeky question. He says he's going to Antarctica in a team of 8. And he wants you to sponsor them. So I said, oh well, I'll ask them, but they may have done all their testing by now. But if you had some super cold ones with lots of hoops, then maybe you need someone to test them.
Well, I'm sure we could supply a few pairs of socks for the team. You get in touch with us, yeah.
Yeah, Rich will be really excited about that. He's just said he's out trekking in the Brecon Beacons, so he's going to catch up on this broadcast later. So he will be thrilled to know that we answered his question for him. Okay, fab. So let's move to the next question, which is Chloe. Chloe would like to know: can Bridgedale socks be tumble dried without shrinking? I am the queen of washing and shrinking.
Yes, they can be tumble dried in a low setting, and for best results we recommend turning them inside out before you tumble dry them. Or also for washing as well, turn them inside out.
Oh, turn them inside out. Oh, okay.
For washing and tumble drying, yeah.
Oh, I sometimes do that just because I figured that it would be sweatier inside than out. But if they're muddier outside than in, then I tend to just wash them this way around. Yeah. Oh, okay. I will wash them inside out from now on. Thank you very much, Stephen.
Yeah, they can be tumble dried in a low setting.
Yeah, brilliant. Awesome. Okay, well that was a lovely quick answer to the question. And then David would like to know about compression socks. I don't know if you guys are okay to answer this. I can answer this if it's not in your arena. But he says, do you make compression socks at Bridgedale? And if so, do they make a big difference to running?
Yes, we do make compression socks, or we have made some compression socks previously. Yes, they do make a difference. The main reason is they tend to clump everything in your legs, so they clump the muscle together, so the muscle's not moving about, which means you're using less energy. So they don't tire you out as much. Also, because they're compressive, it's all about the blood flow. The more blood you can keep going to your muscles, the more oxygen you can keep in those muscles. So yes, they definitely help.
Yeah, they also help in recovery, don't they? For the same reason.
Same idea, yeah.
Yeah.
But interestingly, Claire, when we were doing the research, there was no demand or no significant demand from any of the people we were working with for a compression sock.
Oh.
Otherwise, made one.
Interesting.
Yeah. Also, for a sock to be compressive, it's the leg only that is compressive. You can't get a sock that's compressive in the foot. It's a leg only. So again, because our socks were ankle length or below, we didn't see the need for it to be a compressive sock. It is elasticated, but it's not compressive.
Yeah, it's interesting that, because if I ever wear compression, I wear calf guards, and then you can wear whatever sock you want. So yeah, but a lot of runners in my running club, like, they absolutely swear by compression socks. I think it just makes them feel better, like a psychological thing. But whenever I run in them, I get a really dead feeling calf. Maybe I've got them too tight. So I'm just going to read out a couple of live comments. So Adrian says thanks for answering his question as well. Gordon says hi as well. He said sorry he's late to the broadcast. He's enjoying it. And then Chris says, the hoops are there to catch your newly cut toenails. Yes, because that's the thing, isn't it? You must cut your toenails because you can wear out your sock prematurely if you've got a really long, sharp toenail, can't you? I mean, no sock's going to withstand a jabbing, sharp toenail.
You can, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that is a good bit of advice there. And Chris was also saying he got told to wash them inside out for the first wash and then normal afterwards. Is that a thing, or?
We would recommend always washed inside out.
Inside out, okay. Well, you could try, Chris, couldn't you? You could try washing one pair always inside out and washing one pair always not inside out and see which one lasted for longer. I think you could do a scientific experiment and upload that to Strava. Then we've got a quick question from Gordon, who says, have you thought about the packaging, saying if the socks are ideal for narrow-fitting shoes, etc.? So, because he said when he did the testing they were brilliant, but some of the shoes were then a little tight. I suppose that's just if you've got a thicker sock or a thinner sock, isn't it? So that would answer that question. What do you guys think about narrow fit and wide fit on the packaging?
Because of the amount of lycra we have in every sock we make, we generally don't need sort of narrow or wide fittings because of the lycra.
Yeah.
And the way they're designed, once you wash them, they will. A lot of people say our socks shrink once they're washed. They don't shrink. They go back to the size they were made at. So because of the amount of lycra in, once you wash them and they reduce down, they generally always give you a nice, neat, snug fit. And say they're made in the size range to fit either from the bottom right up to the top of the size range.
Yeah, I suppose so for Gordon, if it's a thicker sock, then you might not want a thicker sock if you've got quite tight fitting shoes. So you'd go for one of the thinner ones, Gordon, like the Cool Max ones. Are they the thinner ones? Yeah. So you might find that you just need to look for a thinner sock. So rather than the sock packaging, it's probably just a question of knowing what size of sock you need in your shoes. Because some of my shoes, I'm like, I need a thick sock for this shoe, and then some of my shoes, I'm like, I need a thinner one for this one because it fits a bit closer. So yeah, I think it's up to the consumer to probably decide what kind of thickness of sock that they need. Yeah, but also another good point is to take the socks with you when you buy your shoes. So take the socks with you that you want to wear in those shoes. So if you've got a pair of socks which feel a bit tight in your current shoes and then you're upgrading to some different shoes, then take them with you and then you can get a really, really good fit there, Gordon. So that is just my little tip there. Okay, and then so I want to just quickly talk about waterproof socks, because I'm sure Bridgedale do a storm sock, don't they? So yeah, so should we just quickly cover that, and is that for runners or is it for mountain bikers?
Well, I think we need to be completely honest here. We developed a waterproof sock as a waterproof sock. We didn't develop it specifically for runners. Okay, so it was brought into the range 3 years ago. They are built to our specifications, but we can't make them, and we can't put them together in Northern Ireland, so they are imported. We have tried them with trail runners, and trail runners tell us that our finished lightweight storm sock is a comfortable sock to run in. So we can tell you that much, but we wouldn't be sitting here for a minute saying that we were designing specifically for that purpose.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I just wanted to cover the fact that there is a waterproof sock available from Bridgedale, and you can use it for running should you want to.
Yeah, and our recommendation would be is you buy the lightweight.
Yeah.
We do a lightweight, a midweight, and a heavyweight. And certainly the guys in the lakes who used it, they were very complimentary about the lightweight.
Awesome.
And found that they could run in it, and it didn't cause them any problems. And they kept the feet in the winter.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. And so we've covered a lot of aspects about the new designs and like the yarns and the size of the project and how you did everything. But I just wondered for you guys both, what was your favourite part of this project, and what has been your favourite part of launching a new trail running range to the world from Bridgedale?
Stephen, what was yours?
For me, it was going and meeting the guys and finding out exactly what the need was, and then seeing them again at the photo shoot and hearing the results back of what they thought it was. That was the best part for me. The initial concept of finding out what they needed in a trail running sock, and then also meeting up with them again at the photo shoot and hearing their response about it and hearing how elated they were with them.
So because you're not a runner, Stephen, you're like the translator, aren't you, between the runners and the machines? So you're like the conduit of information, and then you like put it out in the machines. Has it inspired you to go running, either of you?
I go running.
Yeah.
Well, I was a bit of a runner to begin with, but I have to say, working with the trail runners, I'm running a lot more than I did.
Yeah. Oh, you said no one at Bridgedale was a runner when you started the conversation, Mark. Hiding your light under a bushel there.
In the sense that I might run 6 or 7 kilometres round a reservoir or across the fields. I'm not a trail runner up and down mountains and up and down hills, as some of the really serious people we were talking to. So. Yes, I'm sort of a runner, a lightweight runner.
Yeah, a lightweight sock for a lightweight runner. Yeah. And what was your favourite part of the process then, Mark?
At the risk of sounding I'm just copying Stephen, I think actually the interaction with the runners and really getting to understand them. And for me, what was I found really exciting and really positive was the feedback we got and the enthusiasm with which our testers embraced the whole project. They really became engaged, which was fantastic for us. And if you see any of our advertising or any of our social media, the photographs in the adverts and all of our adverts are our testers. We haven't gone and we're using real people, which is exciting, and it's inspiring for people, I think, to see that we're not spending lots of money on athletes who will then tell us how great our product is. We're using real people. And some of them, certainly Tim is involved in some of those. There's pictures of Tim out there in social media. There's pictures of
his legs on the thumbnail.
Yeah, and Matt Beresford up in the Lake District has been at the front of some of our campaigns, and they've all just embraced the whole process, which has been fantastic.
Yeah, really exciting.
Yeah, I think they were quite excited that we were taking the time to ask them what they wanted.
Yeah.
So it was, regarding that side of it, it was quite an easy project, because for once we were trying to second guess what the market needed. We were asking people straight away, what do you need? What do you need this sock to do? What leg height does it need to be? How thick does it need to be? What colours would you like, whether it's light colours or dark colours? They all migrate up to dark colours because they say they're going to get muddy within 10 minutes. So yeah, no, it was interacting with the guys. They were the experts and knew what they wanted and knew what their current socks didn't do.
Yeah. I think that's what stood out for me as well. It was really great how you didn't just assume, oh yeah, we'll do this and we'll make a sock and here it is, guys, this is what you want. You were like, yeah. Let's get everyone involved. You took it really seriously, but in a fun way. We had a lot of fun on that photo shoot, didn't we?
We did. And we actually, one of the things we ended up with, there was a selection of colours in particular which we would never have got to, because we'd done a whole load of what we thought was the right research when we started, and the first presentation was all about black socks and white socks. And
white socks?
To,
yeah,
exactly.
That's I would have said brown socks. White socks would become brown socks.
Again, even with the colour selections, we made up a selection of colours. In total, I think about 30 different colours. And then the trail runner guys, they picked the colours and said, wouldn't wear this colour, would wear that colour. So again, that made it easier because it was you guys picking the colours rather than us saying, you need this red sock, you need this blue sock.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? And so I'm really excited as well because in the Wild Ginger Running competition, we have a monthly competition which the patrons all stand to win. Patrons is a way of supporting me on YouTube, by the way. If you don't know what a patron is, just Google Wild Ginger Running patron, you will find out. It's a way of supporting me on YouTube. So this month we have a competition to win a year's supply of Bridgedale socks, trail running socks, worth £100. So that is, thank you very much, Mark and Stephen, for that. It's really kind of you.
Okay.
And also I'm running a training camp at the end of June. It's the 25th to the 27th of June. It's for beginner to intermediate runners. So take a look on my website, wildgingerrunning.co.uk. And everybody on that training camp will get a pair of socks for free too in the goodie bag. So Bridgedale socks all over the place. So I just need to ask you guys, what is next for Bridgedale before we end the chat?
Okay, what's next for us? And we've already started it. We're going through exactly the same process that we did for trail running. We're now doing it with mountain bikers. And again, the initial meetings with the mountain bikers, we got a similar reaction to our initial meeting with trail runners, which was they were talk for hours about how good their shoes are and how good their bikes are and how good their clothes are, but none of them are excited about the quality and the comfort and the longevity of their socks. So I'm hoping we've hit on another good development opportunity for the business with mountain bikers.
Amazing.
Then again,
I wonder if the mountain bikers will want like more of a waterproofness to their socks, because when I I don't do much mountain biking around here, but I do a lot of road cycling, and the wind chill and if it's raining and stuff like that, I always really like a waterproof sock, and I always like a cuff which is Lumo so that cars can see me, but it would be completely different to mountain bikers. But yeah, they're often going it's really muddy, isn't it, mountain biking? So I wonder if they would like a waterproof sock more than the trail runners, even more than the trail runners do.
Well, the answer is yes, and I think again it's interesting because the challenge is different. When you're running, clearly your feet are moving all the time.
Yeah,
and so there's
warm.
Lots of motion, and that generates some warmth. On a bike, your foot doesn't actually move. It's fixed. It just goes up and down and goes up and down, and it's very much open to the wind and the wet. So it's about warmth. It's as much about warmth as anything else for them. Trying to find keeping them warm with obviously you can do it with a waterproof, but you can also do it without it being waterproof by a combination of yarns and things. So in severe conditions, we actually got to have a waterproof sock. But in cold, dry conditions, we think we can find a way of providing a knitted sock. Because the bottom line is a knitted sock is always more comfortable to wear than a waterproof sock.
Yeah. So it just needs to dry quickly and not let in too much wind.
Yeah. And you can't make a waterproof sock at the moment. There isn't the technology there to make a waterproof sock fit as tightly and as comfortably as a knitted sock. So. Yeah,
I know. Whenever I've worn waterproof socks for running, they're not as good as just wearing a normal sock. They are a nice option for short runs, but if I ever run a long run all day, your feet end up really wrinkly, when you've been in the bath and you get really wrinkly.
Absolutely.
Because basically it's like a prune, isn't it? So yeah. The technology is yet to come on waterproof socks, because our skin is pretty much waterproof, isn't it? We need to find something that's like that. Brilliant. Okay, so was there anything else that you guys wanted to say? Because I've asked you loads of questions tonight, but is there anything that we haven't covered that you just feel like you want to get out there tonight to tell everybody watching? And then I'll read you a couple of nice comments that people have put.
Well, I think all I'd like to say on behalf of Bridgedale is thank you, and just thank everyone for participating tonight, and thank everybody who participated in our development process. Yeah. And as a business, we are absolutely open to feedback, and we're absolutely open to people emailing us. The most useful emails we get are people saying, well, actually, the sock's fallen apart, or it hasn't worked very well, and then we can have a look at it. And I can absolutely tell you that when we get socks like that into the office, and my office is in Macclesfield, it very quickly gets sent across to Stephen. And Stephen and the guys in the factory look at them and see how we can improve them. And we have actually made one slight improvement on the trail running socks since we finished the development process, because following the development process, we had a pair of socks sent in from someone who, one of our testers, because we'd asked the testers to send us the socks when there was any sign of wear. So one of them sent them in and said, here's the socks. I've done just over 1,000 miles on these socks, and now there's a bit of wear on the back. So Stephen had those socks, and he has added slightly more yarn in one little area of the back of the heel, because the socks started to fail at 1,000 miles.
Brilliant.
But that's the sort of detail we're involved in. And as I say, I would just like to thank everyone for helping us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can tell them more. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, I'd just like to say thank you as well for both of you for being here tonight and for explaining beautifully how the sock design and creation process works. And it's really lovely to know that you're so open to feedback and that you can do those quick changes to those socks to really hone and improve that product for years to come. And great about the eco side of things as well, that you're really looking into that and taking that seriously too. So yeah, thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Mark. And we just got I've just got time to read out a couple of questions here. There's lots of nice comments here. So Chris says, going to have a look at the Bridgedale light version. And Gordon says, what I loved about the test socks were that they kept my feet nice and warm, even when they did get wet, even on a cold day. So there you go. Also some nice feedback there as well. And Adrian's just put, I am sold, order will be on its way. So look, we've sold for an hour's work in the evening, you've sold at least one pair of socks there, so well done, guys.
That's great.
Fantastic. Well, this will be available on the podcast as well shortly, so you can listen to it while you run, which will be fantastic. But yeah, thanks again to both of you for coming on tonight. It's been really great to find out more about how socks are made and the millions of different needles, and yeah, it's fantastic that you're open to feedback for the future as well.
Yeah,
thank you.
Brilliant. So night everybody, and I will see you in a couple of weeks' time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.